Yo, welcome back to the house where we talk news, celebrities, and hot topics. All right, so I want to go ahead and talk about last week's episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac. It's super interesting, but not just the episode. I really want to bring attention to this Vulture article that I find to be really interesting. They're talking about the situation between NECA and Dr. Wendy to you, sweetie, and I feel like what this person is saying is like right on the money, right? So I don't know who wrote this, but I will look it up and I will put it in the description box down below. It's super, super interesting. Listen. While on a trip, NECA does extend an olive branch, inviting everyone, including Wendy, to her new home, which the professor cattily rebuffs. The silent treatment in a Sprinter van is an unbelievably immature tactic, made all the more silly by Wendy's struggle to relax on camera. Okay, they are really, really, really going to hell in on Wendy. And listen, Wendy, I think, is my second favorite on the show. Okay, it's Karen, Wendy, then Candace. All right. And I feel like, even though I love Wendy, she has played this season so bad, and they expose it in this Vulture piece, right? It says it would have been more interesting for Wendy to confront NECA on why she would invite someone whose family she claims submitted hers to a shrine. That would amount to willingly inviting malevolent forces. Instead, we get a stilted, I think that's how you say that, exchange over a reheated lunch in which Wendy begins to launch into this clearly rehearsed lecture on how she is not interested in resolving this issue with NECA, a stance that only hurts her. That only hurts Dr. Wendy to you, sweetie. Because while NECA is actually building relationships, Wendy, your relationships are going out the window. You don't talk to Giselle, or Giselle doesn't talk to her. Okay. And then she doesn't really have a relationship with Robin Dixon. And now she refuses to really give NECA the time of day. And I get it. If I was Wendy, I would be annoyed at NECA too. But girl, Wendy, you are not a Karen Huger. Love Wendy down. But Wendy is not Karen Huger, and Wendy is not a Giselle Bryant. Okay? You are not an anchor onto the show. Right? No tea, no shade. Therefore, Giselle and her light-skinned privilege can get away with things that Wendy cannot. Okay? And I'm not saying when Giselle does it, it's right. I'm saying we hate it when Giselle does it, but Giselle has skin in the game that Wendy, and light-skinned privilege. Okay? She has the privilege and she has skin in the game. And Bravo and Eric Fuller love Giselle and her dirty, stanky, nasty, disgusting draws. Okay? Wendy does not have those same privileges. Wendy is not an OG. Wendy is not an anchor. There are two queens on this show, and that is Karen Huger and Giselle. Karen and Giselle can get away with things that these other women cannot because they're not anchors onto the show. You have two sides of the show. Giselle controls Ashley Darby, Robin Dixon, NECA, Mia, and those girls. And then Karen is the puppeteer for Candace and Wendy. Not saying that they're controlled by these ladies, but those are like the two moms of the group. Okay? Again, no tea, no shade, because I love Wendy. But this is accurate, right? So to give you guys the slow version, they went to Surrey County in order to help Karen out the bread and breakfast that she's doing in Surrey County on the plantation that has been in her family for generations. I think it's a brilliant idea. On their way in the Sprinter van, NECA decides to invite all of the ladies to her home for like some sort of an event, right? Oh my God, my phone is going off and it's annoying me. Okay. NECA invites all the girls to her home to like unpack her old ass house. Okay. Listen. Wendy ignores her. Wendy acting like NECA don't exist. Okay. And then later on, she goes, well, NECA, you skipped a lot of steps. Like, you can't go from calling me a bitch and calling my mom a witch to inviting me to your home. And Wendy is correct. That is correct. You're skipping steps. But if NECA is clearly giving you an olive branch, Wendy, you have to work with it. Again, you're not Karen and you're not Giselle. Giselle can get away with not talking to the girls. You cannot. And you need to recognize that, and you need to be strategic and play the game, girl. Okay? I am the housewife whisperer. I be trying to get these girls together. I'm telling you how to get 10 years onto the show. Okay? She gave you an olive branch. That was the opportunity for Wendy to be like, okay, I appreciate the invite. I appreciate the olive branch. I appreciate you trying. I think we need to have a conversation because I don't believe that it's a great idea for me to just go to your house after you called me a bitch and you called my mom a witch. That was Wendy's opportunity to move forward, and she totally refused it, and it was annoying. And then the read was so, not the read, but the whole thing about, I forgot what she said, but she was like, I don't have time for people that aren't, really conducive to my life. And something she said that was so rehearsed. And I'm like, girl, Wendy, stop. Like, oh my God. Girl, what is you doing? What is you doing? Like, Wendy, if you keep going down this route, they are going to, okay, kick you off the goddamn island. Okay, sis? They're going to evict you from the Big Brother house. Okay, for better or worse, NECA is aiming to build all of her own relationships with the cast. Smoothing this situation over is in Wendy's best interest, as both she and Candace have lost Robin as an ally. Thank you. Like, y'all need to be thinking about the long game. Why are y'all letting Giselle win? Y'all gonna let Giselle win. All y'all gonna be fired from the show and Giselle gonna be sitting pretty. Barely Reasonable and Evil are gonna be sitting pretty while everybody else is gonna be picked off of the cast because you guys are not playing the game. Play the game. Play the game. And yes, I know I hate that we are fixated on the actions of Candace and Wendy. I do not believe it's fair. I feel like there definitely should be more heat on Giselle. There definitely needs to be more heat on Robin. I feel like producers and executives need to have conversations with them. I do not believe it's fair for everybody to show their life and for Robin to lie to us for 3 years. We asked that lady for 3 years, when are you getting married? She said, I don't know. Well, what's the reason? Why is the engagement so long? She said, well, I don't know. We're just chilling. No, you found out he cheated. And so you were hesitant to get married again. But you ended up doing it anyways. That would have been the truth. You lied to us for years. You deserve discipline for what you did to Candy. Giselle, you cannot just decide, I'm not going to talk to this person. I'm not going to film with this person. I'm not going to ride in the Sprinter van with this person. And then your excuse is my safety. That is bullshit. Okay, Giselle. Giselle and her privilege and her lies and her evil ways, I can't take it. I don't like it. It's annoying me and my home girls. All right? So don't get me wrong. Giselle and Robin, they do not have an excuse when it comes to the situation. However, because I genuinely like Candace and Wendy and want them to have a one-up on these other girls, I do not want to see them leave the show. I do not want to see them iced out. I do not want the producers to look at them and be like, they can go. Right? So this is saying, NECA is aiming to build all of her own relationships with the cast. Smoothing this situation over is in Wendy's best interest. Wendy, you don't need another enemy. You stop making enemies, Wendy. Stop making enemies. Just keep the ones you already have. Okay. As both she and Candace have lost Robin as an ally. Oh, who wrote this? Who wrote this? It's so true. It is certainly Wendy's right to stand firm in her position that NECA maligned her family, but it is unproductive. It is an unproductive stance when Wendy is losing solid footing on the show. More and more of her scenes are one-offs promoting her and Eddie's rotating business interests. in a continued attempt to fill out her presence in the cast, but her ventures as a serial entrepreneur are not insightful. I disagree. I feel like if the show did not show her entrepreneurial journey, we would not have gotten her versus Mia last season with Peter and those things. I thought that was pretty interesting. I like the Happy Eddie storyline. I think that's interesting. So I do disagree with this writer on that. But they say whether or not she realizes it, she is attempting to replicate the same tactic that Giselle is rightfully being held to task by many viewers, refusing to engage with NECA in hopes that with time or seniority, the issue will disappear. Wendy, however, is not Giselle. Like I said, not enough relationships, storylines, or connections run through her for her to wield power in this dynamic. So she has to suck it up and film. And they all do. I guarantee you, Potomac will have their first real shakeup next year. There's never been a major cast shakeup. It's always like one person goes, and then they'll bring on one other person. But we've never really had like 2-3 people go between season to season, right? And I feel like we're headed that way. Potomac really, to me, has never had a bad season except for season 1. I felt like season 1 was bad. I didn't really care about etiquette. It was too much conversation about race. Watching a bunch of light-skinned watching a bunch of light-skinned women talking about race and what's black and what's blackness and what's not really turned me off. I felt like it was weird. They were constantly talking about like who's black and who's not and who's mixed and who's light-skinned and who's this. It was so off-putting. It was so odd. And then I was trying to figure out why everybody on this show was light-skinned. Like, there's no dark-skinned women on this. It was just weird. That first season was so cringy. But from season 2 to 7, 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10, Potomac knocks it out of the park. Great drama, great storylines. And for the past 4 or so seasons, I would say that they give the Bravoverse good conversation and debates to talk about via social media, like Monique versus Candace, like colorism. Is there colorism on the show? Is there not? Giselle and her lies and, the hotel room. Season after season after season, they give us these good conversations that you can apply to your life and talk about with, you and your friends. But this season, season 8, I think this season is trash. This season is boring. Nobody wants to film with one another. Nobody wants to talk to one another. It's getting weird. It's strange. It's lackluster. Like, everybody keeps saying that Mia is the best housewife this season, and I don't see it. I'm so confused about that situation. Like, her talking about the lawyer and her like becoming disinterested in G is, I don't understand how people are interested in that. It's just not interesting. Robin and Juan, I kind of feel like it's too little too late. Robin should have bared her soul on this season. If I was Eric Fuller, I would have told Robin Dixon, girl, you better give us your whole life for lying to us and withholding great stories for the past 2 years. And then, I don't know, it's just such a weird dynamic. And then there's too many of them. The fact that they decided to make NECA a housewife in the first place never made sense to me. Her storyline is trying to have a baby. And it's like, okay. It's bad. Potomac is bad. Okay, Potomac is down bad. Bad. But listen, okay, back to this. It's just bad. So I say that to say that somebody's going. There's going to be about 1 or 2 or 3 of y'all. I will be surprised if at least 2 women are not evicted from the house. And so they need to get it together. I do not want it to be Wendy. I do not want it to be Candace. So I'm scared for the girls. Wendy is losing solid footing on the show. More and more of her scenes. Okay, we already read that. But they basically go on to say that, in a way, Giselle or Wendy is pulling a Giselle by, refusing to give NECA a bone, right? It is a shame that instead of stepping up to the plate, we just get eye rolls, silent treatments, and intractability. I think that's how you say that. Not only does it reinforce the climate of ostracism on Potomac, whoever wrote this deserves a raise, but it makes for a viewing experience that is about as enjoyable as getting a tattoo lasered off. The entire cast needs to accept their roles in participating in an unproductive ecosystem before they find themselves out of a job. I literally just said that. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about the situation in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to create a great day. Bye. See you later. Bye. Love you, Wendy. I think her people hate me because, child, we was in talks to do an interview and then the communication ceased. It's probably because I talked about her mom. Okay, Wendy, I love you. I'm rooting for you. Come on to the show. Bye, you guys.